A few symbols for the adults. What's this? Actually, kids might know this one better than some of us. Okay, what about this one? I don't know what that represents. NBA, nice. The next one's probably pretty easy. Qantas. ABC Kids. Yeah, they've changed their logo a few times, but this is the most recent one. What about this one? It's Kathmandu. Companies use symbols to elicit, make it representable, make it understandable, communicate who they are. But I want to show you some other pictures which I think are also symbols. But as we look at these, see if you can answer these three questions. What was going on before? What took place? What is different now? What was going on before? Might have been hungry. Might have been waiting for dinner. What took place? Someone said spaghetti. Yeah, probably. What about now? What's the difference now? Take that person. Beforehand, how do they feel? Hungry? They had dinner. How do they feel now? Hopefully satisfied and full. Yeah. What about this? What do you have there? Anzacs and poppies. What was going on before? What took place? What's different now? What is this symbolic of? How about this one? I believe our associate pastor, Charlie, had a birthday this week. What was going on before this would have come out? He was 3. And then they had a birthday and a celebration. And now Charlie is no longer just a 3-year-old. Please, that was very much last week. He is now a big 4-year-old. These pictures tell a story and kind of reveal what was taking place around it, before it, what happened, then after it. What do you think of in relation to those questions when you see this? Thank you, Charlie. Absolutely. He sure did. And I guess I want to unpack this a little bit. It's a symbol that everyone is so familiar with and sees so much. And we all have our own, I guess, connections to it and ways of connecting with what the cross means. But I want to go to Colossians chapter 1. If you've got your Bibles, open up to Colossians chapter 1, verse 21 and 22. If you've got the blue Bible, it's page 1015. But we're just going to spend a few minutes unpacking this. Because in these 2 verses, Paul outlines the meaning of the cross as he sees it and as we can see it as well. He starts out, Colossians 1, verse 21. He says, once you were alienated. That's a harsh word, isn't it? Once you were enemies, you were so distant, you were foreigners, you had no connection from God, and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior. Now, if this is your first time hearing this, let me share with you a conversation I had with someone this week. I had a chat with someone, and they had only recently started going to church after having no religious background in their life so far. And they were reflecting on their experiences. They don't go to this church, they go to a different one. And they had said, when I first started going, all I kept hearing was this concept that I'm a sinner, that I'm no good, that I make mistakes, that I'm distanced from God. And they said, when I first heard that, I thought, I'm not that bad a person. Like, I'm pretty kind. I help people. I think well of people. I try to be courteous and respectful. I don't lie, cheat, steal, hurt intentionally. I try not to do any of that stuff. I think I don't know what they're talking about, but I feel like I'm actually a fairly good person. And then she went on to say, as I kept going and listening and having people kind of answer some of my questions, I slowly started to understand what they were talking about. And it started to finally make sense. She said, but it wasn't until then that these conversations, these explanations took place that I actually thought I had any kind of issue with this concept that they called sin. Because often we see ourselves in relation to what we know about ourselves. Let me explain. I like tennis. Some of you may know that. It's a pretty good sport. I don't play in what I'm wearing right now. I normally wear different clothes. For those who were at Reese's children's story a little while ago. But I had coaching when I was a kid. I grew up playing a fair bit of tennis. So I thought, look, I can hit a forehand, I can hit a backhand, I can serve, I can volley. I think I'm kind of all right. And the circles I played in, I was all right. I was pretty good. But then I joined a competition where there were people who were, I wouldn't say next level, I say they're a few levels above me. They were good. Like, they were really good. And it wasn't until I started playing those guys where I went, yeah, so I thought I could play, but compared to them, I got a long way to go. I do not even come close to the level that they're at. And it was only once I started playing against people who were so much better than me that I realized the shortfalls I had in my game and the things that I need to try and work on and improve. And I wonder if that's a little bit of what this person experienced. It wasn't until they came into an understanding, into connection, into a realization that there is a God who is good, and He is so good, He is perfect, and He loves us. But when you're in contact with Him, you realize, oh man, God, I want to be like Jesus, but there are just so many things that I do which are not like Jesus. Is that what Paul means when he says, once we're alienated? Once we're separated, had this distance, and we couldn't reach the mark, but also we just had this missing relationship. But there is good news in this, because of the word once. It's a good word. Once, previously, you were alienated from God. And Paul explains the beauty of that once, I think, even more so with these two words that come next. But now. Once you were, but now. In the past it was like this, but now it's not. Before you were this way, but now you're not. Those two words hold so much hope, so much possibility. And there is a story here with those two words, but now. He goes on to say, but now He has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death. You are no longer estranged. You are no longer separated. You are no longer alienated. You are actually back together. There is a relationship that you now have, and it's good, and you have that relationship because of what Jesus has done. You're not just reconciled back to God, but you're renewed. You're restored. He says, you've been reconciled by Christ's physical body through death to present you as holy, without blemish, free from accusation. I grew up with kidney disease, and as a result of that, got to the point where I wasn't feeling very well and needed to have a transplant. Before I had that transplant, I felt, look, I could still do things. I can still, I can still participate. I can still help around the home. You ask Julie, she'll probably give you a different story about that. But I felt, hey, I think I'm actually okay. My blood tests told a different story, and it wasn't until I had the transplant and I recovered that I actually realized how bad I was and how good I felt afterwards. Because it's hard to have some comparison when you're living in that moment. But once you're made holy, you're without blemish, you're free from accusation, you realize that God is there with you, that he loves you, that he doesn't condemn you, that he is the one who is with you and is helping you to grow and become more like his son. You can look back and go, yeah, God, you've brought me a long way from where I was. I once was, but now. So where does but now fit into your story? I was interested in Jesus and God. Now, yeah, I'm open. I wasn't sure where I sat with God, but now I'm ready to go all in. Or maybe it was I was close to God, I was following him, I was spending time with him, but now it's not like that anymore. I would make God my priority, but now I've drifted. Or maybe it's I made that decision, I was reconciled to God, but now I can't imagine life without him at all. Because you can reach any of those points, and I'm not sure where you are right here today, but we are doing this, and we celebrate communion, and we remember what Jesus has done for us through the bread and through this juice, because it's easy to get distracted and sidetracked in life. So today this symbol is a reminder. And we do it, I think, because of this reason. If. Paul says, we're reconciled, we're made holy, if we continue in our faith, established and firm, and do not move from the hope that you hold in the gospel. That if is why we do this. That if is there because we want to be reminded of what these symbols mean. We want to be reminded of who Jesus is to us. We want to be reminded of what's important. That's why we gather on weekends. It's why we have groups during the week. It's why we get together. It's why we talk. It's why we share. We don't want to lose sight of what matters. And so we need reminders. We need these symbols to point us back to what's important. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to spend some time doing what Jesus did. And he washed his disciples' feet on that night before he was crucified. They gathered together. There was no one else to do it. And Jesus willingly got down on his hands and knees. He humbled himself and he did something which no one else in the room at that point wanted to do. And because we want to become like Jesus and do what he did, we also have the opportunity to wash each other's feet. So we're going to take some time to do that now, and then when we come back, we will share in the bread and wine together and take that together to remember what Jesus has done for us.